What is up guys, Coop here, and today we're going to be talking about the Lightforged Draenei, which I gotta say, they look pretty damn dope. A lot of you guys don't actually know, but my first main was a Draenei, so I'm really excited to see this kind of twist on the race, especially with Battle of Azeroth. They're adding these allied races, and the Lightforged Draenei is one for the Alliance. So, let's dive in. So let's talk about the lore of these guys. A little bit of some quick lore so you guys understand who these guys are and what exactly they do. So for an untold millennia, the Army of the Light waged war against the Burning Legion throughout the twisting nether. These Draenei were the most committed to their long crusade and would undergo a ritual of becoming Lightforged, infusing their bodies with the very essence of the holy light. Now this may be familiar for some of you guys because Illidan in one of the cinematics was about to be infused with the holy light through one of the prime Naru. But nonetheless, that's basically what these guys went through. This is what gives them their glowing eyes and those glowing tattoos and everything. After finally achieving victory on Argus, the Lightforged Draenei undertook a new mission, protecting Azeroth from the rising threats and helping the Alliance push back the Horde aggression. So, let's find out, why exactly did they join the Alliance? Well, Red Shirt Guy and a few other people looked around when playing around at BlizzCon, and they found out that there's this actual whole different area to Stormwind City called Stormwind Embassy. Now what's really cool about this is, when you walk in, apparently Anduin talks about getting allies, because the Horde aggression cannot go unanswered, and he needs us to get as many allies as we possibly can. And he speaks to a council of leaders and some of the people that we fought with together on Argus. One of them is Turalyon, and he basically offers the entire Army of the Light to the Alliance. Now keep in mind, a lot of people are going to be kind of upset, especially Horde players, but it's not fully confirmed yet, but it's highly implied that the burning of Teardrosel happened first, and because of that, the Alliance is pretty much super angry about it. Also keep in mind that Turalyon and Illyria are part of the Alliance. They were part of the Alliance beforehand. They were killing orcs before they were teleported away and had to jump through portals to fight the Burning Legion. They were never ever really neutral. They were neutral for a time to fight the Burning Legion, and yeah, it's been a lot of years, but they still don't exactly like the Horde. So it makes sense that they are actually not fully for it. I'm excited to see how the Army of the Light joins the Alliance and how everybody's all okay with it, but it actually makes sense because if you think about the Army of the Light, it's pretty much Draenei, Turalyon, and maybe a few other races, but none of them have ever been really part of the Horde, so literally all those guys go straight to the Alliance, and it really makes sense in the long run. So let's actually talk about creating your own Lightforged Draenei. What sort of features do they have? What sort of customizations, options do they have? Well, I'm happy to tell you that we actually have a nice little video from Final Boss TV. I borrowed some of the footage here to show you it. It's not the best way to show all of it, but it does show off enough. It's very hard to find all the different details and whatnot, and a lot of things are broken in-game. But it does show you roughly what they're going for, what sort of direction they're going for. And I gotta say, they look really awesome. A lot of the different features and things that they added, I didn't think would work out, but it really did. Especially Lightforged Draenei, they have pale skin. It's just naturally white and gray, which I didn't think would have much detail, but they managed to add enough color variation to the skin to make it at least flow nicely. One of the things I really like though is the usage of the tattoos. They sort of have like these Demon Hunter like light version of the tattoos, which is awesome to see that because I feel like characters need to get more customization, and it's really cool to see that. And especially they have these glowing eyes and everything, and they have these different horns that are really cool. I'm going to try to speed up so I can show you all of them, but it's really cool overall just to see the different horns and the different aspects that can make these guys actually have a racial difference from the Draenei that we have. Also, the little gift and Naru symbols above their heads just add a little bit more flavor to it that show that they are really infused with the light of the Naru rather than a gift of the Naru. It's actually always stuck to their head, which is a nice little touch as well. Now keep in mind that Lightforged Draenei have a variety of different classes that they can play. It's a little bit less than most of the races out there, but they can play as Hunter, Mage, Paladin, Priest, and Warrior. Now Paladin makes sense, obviously, same with Priest. Now Hunters, a lot of people might be confused about them, but there's actually different Hunters and Mages in the group as well. And Warrior just makes sense. So, very cool overall to look at all that, and hopefully we get to have some hands-on experience with these guys real soon. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes and talk about the racials. The racials are a little bit different. They're not exactly my favorite racials in the world, but still, it's cool to see some of the themes and all that. They really went with them being beings of light, which is awesome. Which gets us to our first racial of Light's Judgment. It's a 2.5 minute cooldown. Now keep in mind these are all subject to change. It's an active base ability where you call down a strike of Holy Light, which deals a amount of holy damage to enemies within 5 yards. So you have this AoE sort of beam blast that you put on the ground, which is kind of cool. Light's Judgment, I think, is actually the ability that the Vendikar uses when you're in Argus. So that's kind of cool. Little callback to that. The next racial is Forge of Light, which basically you just summon a forge, which allows you to do your smithing and whatnot. Also, your blacksmithing is increased by 10%, so just a nice little bit of flavor text there. Kind of reminds me of like D&D with the cleric, where you have like Way of the Smith or Way of the Forge. So kind of cool there. And then the next one that they have is Demon's Bane, which is a passive base ability which increases your experience while killing beasts by 20%. So I find it weird that it's called Demon's Bane, but it's experience while killing beasts rather than demons. So it kind of gives you a little bit more of a shout out that, hey, there's not going to be any more demons for a while because the Burning Legion is going to be pretty much dead. So that's kind of cool. I think this is a very useful racial. Even though it's only for the leveling experience, I think it's nonetheless pretty useful because, hey, we're probably going to be dealing with a lot of beasts, especially in the different zones. Like, we're going to be fighting against dinosaurs, and we're going to be fighting against the different creatures in Keltaros as well. So it kind of goes hand in hand. So either if you're, well, I mean, you're mainly going to be in the Alliance area, but there's a lot of different animals and things, and eventually we're going to be fighting dinosaurs. Still, nonetheless, it's kind of cool to have all these different experiences and whatnot, even though it's only for the leveling experience, which is going to kind of suck. But regardless, not a bad racial. The next one is Final Verdict. Now this one's a very interesting one. When you die, the light avenges you, dealing holy damage to enemies within 8 yards and healing allies for an amount. Now I would read off these numbers, but keep in mind these will change with your leveling and whatnot. But it's interesting to have a racial that procs when you die. It's kind of weird to have that, but I think I can deal with it. It is a very sort of flavor text type of racial that adds a little bit more to a character, and having that AoE damage and healing of allies is really cool. Especially, imagine this, your raid is taking massive damage and your healers just can't keep up. You die and you heal a little bit of your allies around you during a raid just to give them a little bit of a boost so your healers can actually catch up on the healing. So that's a nice racial overall. It's weird, I don't like death racials because I feel like your character should be alive more and not have to focus on that, but regardless, it's a nice racial overall. Now the last one is Holy Resistance, which reduces holy damage taken by 1%. Very nice staple resistance. However, I find it weird that it's holy damage. It makes sense, like from a lore perspective, hey, the holy damage. I would have kind of preferred it to be shadow damage. Just say like, hey, like Demon's Bane would have been better because I think a Demon's Bane with reduced shadow damage would have been cool. Because we're not going to be really dealing with that many people that do holy damage, but it does prevent other paladins from kind of hurting you as much. However, I'm very curious why they put this racial in there, but hey, you never know. The next expansion could be War Against the Light. I mean, we've seen from multiple occasions that the light is not exactly fully pure, but nonetheless, this is not a bad racial overall. In conclusion of all the racials, though, I gotta say that Light's Judgment and definitely the Beast experience is very nice. Final Verdict is a curious one. I don't exactly like ones that kill you, but it will work out nonetheless. And then you have sort of Holy Resistance and the Forge to give you a little bit more flavor. definitely suggest this being your blacksmithing character, and definitely suggest maybe a plate wearing character to kind of utilize the blacksmithing a little bit. But regardless, it's World of Warcraft. You can play how you exactly want. So that's a look at the Lightforged Draenei. I'm actually curious what you guys think. Tell me in the comments below what you guys think of the Lightforged Draenei. Are you guys going to play them? Are you guys going to roll? What class are you guys going to go with? I'm very curious about them, and I'm very curious more about the story of how the Army of the Light joins the Alliance and these guys joining. I just want to see a little bit more of the flavor of them kind of go in. I'm hoping that we can get more details, but keep in mind everything is subject to change. Some of these racials, some of the customization, hell, they might even change how the race looks completely within the next expansion. But I'm excited to see what details are in the future. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content in the future, and I will see you guys in the future. Bye.